Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the invited paper session 189 of the 63rd ISI World Congress. This session is entitled Towards 2030 Agenda, the use of mobile phone data to measure SDG indicators on the information society. My name is Esperanza Magpantay. I'm the senior statistician from the International Telecommunication Union, the UN Specialized Agency for Telecommunication and ICT, and I will be moderating this session. We will have an hour session where we will hear a number of presentations on the topic of the session covering information society indicators. After the presentations, we will have a discussant, which will talk about the key issues that were highlighted in the presentations. Participants are requested to post their questions in the link provided for our session. Please indicate to which speaker you are addressing your question, and our speakers will get back to you as soon as possible. I am honored to moderate this session, which will highlight the important work that one of the subgroups of the task team on mobile phone data is currently doing. The task team on mobile phone data is one of the 8 task teams of the UN Committee of Experts on Big Data and Data Science for Official Statistics, or the UNCEBD. So the UNCEBD, which was formerly known as UN Global Working Group on Big Data, was created during the 45th session of the UN Statistical Commission with the aim to investigate the benefits and challenges of using mobile phone big data or big data in general, including the potential for monitoring and the reporting of the Sustainable Development Goals. So the task team on mobile phone data is currently working on developing different handbooks in 6 different areas of official statistics. And one of them is on the information society statistics, which the ITU currently leads. So the availability of mobile phones, as well as the data that were generated by using mobile phones, paved the way to the potential of this new data source for official statistics. Specifically, this session will provide us information on how ICT indicators, or what we call information society indicators, included in the Sustainable Development Goals monitoring framework, can be calculated, as well as the experiences can be shared from 2 use cases where we conducted the pilots. We know, for example, the data on internet use, specifically in developing countries or some low-income countries and LDCs, data are not available because the household surveys that are needed to conduct them are not necessarily conducted regularly. So we will learn from the different challenges that were faced by the use cases, as well as the different presentations that we will hear today. And those experiences will be shared to you so that you can learn in terms of how this could be implemented in your country, should you wish to implement a similar project in the future. So with this, I would like to start the session and introduce our distinguished speakers. Our first speaker is Mr. Erki Saluveer. He is the CEO of Positium, and he will share with us a presentation covering the different data sources that will be used when analyzing mobile phone data for information society measurement, and the methodology that is necessary to calculate the different indicators related to information society. So Erki, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Esperanza, for this kind introduction. Hello, my name is Erki Saluveer. I greet you all from city of Tartu, that is behind me, from Estonia. Unfortunately, this year we have to do the conference virtually. Looking forward to meet you all. Hopefully before those 2 years, but at least on next physical conference. I will introduce you the recent project that we did together with ITU in order to find ways how to calculate Sustainable Development Goal indicators using mobile phone data for the information society. And just a moment. So those two indicators are SDG indicator 9C1 and 1781. I will explain also what those indicators mean. And I will introduce you the proposed methodology that we developed in order to calculate those, what kind of data you need for calculating them, as well very briefly about the data quality assessment. And then later on, there will be two presentations that will show how those two indicators were calculated in two different countries. So let's begin. So what is an indicator in the goal 9 of Sustainable Development Goals, which is in the target of 9C and the indicator 9C1. So this is the percentage of inhabitants living within the range of mobile cellular signal, irrespective of whether or not they are mobile phone subscriber or users. So this is important sustainable development goal indicator, as it will show the infrastructure development speed in a country. And we propose a methodology that would be possible to measure not only whether people are covered with mobile network, but also how good is the quality of their network. So whether it's 2G, 3G, or 4G. And what we are really interested in is the breakdown of geography. So to see whether there are geographical differences between of the urban and rural areas, as well in different parts of a country. So for that purpose, we will propose different data that could be used. So of course, mobile network operator data is something that can be asked from mobile network operators in order to calculate this kind of indicator. So we call this data mobile positioning data. And there is a methodology here that could be put in order to calculate this indicator. But also, we develop a methodology where you can calculate this indicator without having access to mobile network operators' data using open source databases. So this is 3 data sets that I will introduce you later, using OpenCell ID database for having the network coverage area from the operators, and then using data elevation model to model the coverage areas of the mobile network operator, and then the world population estimates from World Pop database. So what is 9C1? So proportion of populations covered by a mobile network, then broken down by technology. It refers to percentage of inhabitants living within range of mobile cellular signal. And in order to do that, we want to see also the geographical breakdown. And for that purpose, we would use local administrative units division. So we propose to use municipality level, which is usually local administrative unit 2. And for each of those local administrative units and each of these generations of mobile network coverage, we would calculate, so how much population is covered by 2G, 3G, and 4G divided by the whole population in that location, local administrative units. So this is a very simple formula here. And the general idea here is to be able to do that without having access to the, also to have access, not have access to the mobile network operator data. And by using the WorldPop data for having population estimates, and then 2G, 3G, 4G from the OpenCell ID, you could put it all together into the calculation. In final results in the calculation, you would end up with this kind of aggregate table, where for each local administrative unit, you would have a proportion of population covered by 2G, 3G, and 4G. And very simplistic approach, but this is something that has been missing in many countries for decision makers in order to have a good understanding of how well their country is covered with mobile network operators coverage. Let's get down to the other indicator before getting down to the data sources that could be used. The other indicator is under the goal 17, which is partnership goal. And the indicator 17.8.1 is proportion of individuals using the internet from any location in the past 3 months is the initial indicator that was developed by the UN. So here we want to see how well the people are covered with network operators network, and then out of them, how many are using the internet. Again, we want to have the breakdown by the technology in order to understand how fast internet they are using. So there is a big difference whether people have access only to the 2G network with very slow internet speeds, or they have currently 4G or well, upcoming 5G even. Again, we want to see the geography breakdown by local administrative units and to see the different geographical variances. So where people might be much less covered with faster internet, maybe in rural areas, and in the cities, maybe only everybody has a very good internet coverage with 4G, and they are using it. And for that purpose, we definitely need mobile network operator data. And within that, we need also the home locations of the subscribers. There is a methodology behind it. And for the technology breakdown, we are accessing the highest level of technology used. So if somebody has access even in some days for 4G, so they would be categorized into the 4G group. So we are looking really for people who only have access to 2G in order to understand what is the percentage of people having the slower speed internet access. And how to do the breakdown of the internet usage and the ones who do not have the internet usage is that we would have a subscribers split into groups of the ones who only have call activity events. So those are voice events and SMS sending, for example, and those who use the internet, either they use only the internet or they use both voice and internet together. And from those, we would do the technology breakdown using the most frequently used technology. to have the breakdown. The final formula for calculating it is again simple. So we want to divide in particular local administrative unit. So we again proposed local administrative unit on second level to use it. For example, on municipality level, we want to see so the users in that location administrative unit. So the ones who use the internet divided by those people who have a home anchor calculated into that local administrative units. So out of all local administrative units, people who have a home count, how many of them use internet? The aggregated tables would look something like that. So we would calculate for each month, for each local administrative unit, first of all, how many there are total home counts. So basically the total number of subscribers that we could calculate homes, and out of them, number of subscribers who do not have internet, and then those who have internet, we would divide into the breakdown of 2G, 3G, and 4G. And out of that table, we would calculate the proportions. So for example, that 13% do not have internet access, and the rest of the 87% would be divided equally in this final result example. So those two indicators would need different data sources. And the first and most important one is local administrative units division, where you want to aggregate the data. And this is often overlooked because it's taken for granted. Luckily, all of the countries now have this as open data, usually from the statistical offices, and it is relevant to have the quality assessed before using it, whether this is really the official one that the country is using. And we would use it for calculating both of those indicators, the local administrative division. The second data source is World Pop. Luckily, there is an open source world population database developed by Southampton University. And that data set provides an estimation total number of people per grid in 1 kilometer grid. And as source, they have been using official population estimates as well, data from satellites. And for example, later on, there will be described in Indonesia. We used it from 2019 and did a comparison also with official statistics, and that will be later presented in this session. But this is a very valuable data source in order to get population estimates in a country. The third one is the mobile network coverage. And that could be derived from the mobile network operators themselves when it is proprietary data set. But as I explained, it's possible to use it also from an open source data set called OpenCellID. And this is the world's largest collaborative community project that collects GPS level positioning of cell towers around the world. And in this project, again, we used it in Indonesia, and later on it will be shown how the results came about. But in order to do the coverage area estimation from OpenCellID database, we also use digital elevation map in order to avoid putting the coverage areas into the areas like behind the mountains, for example. And in the case of Indonesia, that is very important to distinguish. The more detailed overview of the methodology is provided in the handbook from the United Nations Global Working Group on using big data for official statistics, because there are many aspects to consider, but we help you to go them through. So I just want to let you know that using it for calculating the indicators, it is possible to do it using open source data for the 9C1. And finally, of course, you can have mobile phone data from mobile network operators. That is the preferred way. But it is very important to bear in mind when you have access to the mobile network operators, you have to do the quality assessment of the data. So we also provide a quality assessment checklist to look into different aspects of the raw data that the mobile network operators have in order to detect the possible errors in the input data. Because if you would have input data with errors in it, you would end up with calculated statistics that are not correct. So this is why the quality assessment of the initial data is very important. And we use Eurostat quality assessment framework that we have adjusted to the mobile phone data. And we estimate things like location attribute presence and geography, subscribers distribution and density, subscribers related identity presence and type, subscribers related identity continuity, number of subscribers, etc. So each of those have been explained in our handbook, where it is more detailedly described how to check them. So, because my time is up, I'd like to hand over to two case studies where we apply those two methodologies to calculate SDG indicators in Indonesia and in Brazil. So thank you from my side. My name is Erki Saluveer, and I thank you for your attention. And I'll give you floor back. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Erki, for your very comprehensive presentation of the two SDG Information Society indicators that are covered in this work that we are doing on this task team, as well as the different data sources that could be used to calculate those two indicators, and the highlighting the importance of checking the data to ensure that we are using quality data when calculating those two indicators. So now we are ready to hear the presentation from our two use cases. We will start with Brazil. Brazil will be presented to us by Maria Bueno. She is the Special Projects Coordinator from the Statistical Office of Brazil. Maria, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Esperanza. Let me share my screen. It's okay, my screen?
Yes.
Okay, my name is Maria. I am from IBGE, the Brazilian Institute of Geography and Statistics. And my presentation today is about the use of mobile phone data to measure ICT indicators. And the first question is, why using mobile phone data? As an Institute of Statistics, the use of mobile phone data addresses three main points: the production of innovative statistics, the production of timely and geographically disaggregated results, and the decrease of the burden of the respondents. And in the context of information society, we can observe that the number of households with computers is decreasing because people are using more and more their mobile phones to stay connected. So, especially in a pandemic environment, it's important to know who is using this device to be connected and who is not. An important point that should mention is data access. Accessing mobile phone data is not an easy task. It's necessary many meetings with mobile operators and stakeholders. These meetings must discuss a data share agreement, and privacy protection is a crucial point. In Brazil, as a result of these meetings, we got data from one operator from a total of 4. We asked for data to develop a proof of concept. Then we select a small region and a small period. Besides that, we ask for the simplest data possible to be used in statistics production, CDR, IPDR, and tower location. We followed some methodology steps. The first one is a data quality evaluation. We checked mainly the completeness, the consistency, and the validity of data concerning the suitability to the purpose of the study. The second step is the inference of the residence location. For this study, we decided to adopt the simplest criteria, which is a time-constrained one. So the subscriber was considered to be at home if there were events at 3 specific times: midnight to 5 a.m., 5 to 8 p.m., and 9 p.m. to midnight on weekdays. And the third step is the calculation of the indicators themselves. In the case of indicator 9C1, we use the view-shared approach. And in the case of indicator 1781, we summarize the number of subscribers according to the type of event per algorithm hour. And we can also have the summary of the more frequent technology to internet access. I don't explore much more about the methodology because Erki has done it before me. And finally, we have the results to be analyzed. And the results about the reference data to SDG indicator 9C1 is produced by the Brazilian Telecommunication Agency. The comparison shows some similarities, but also some discrepancies, and probably due to differences in methodology in data time. We can say that for 2G and 3G technology, the results are very similar in most cases. But for 4G technology, we have some big difference. We believe the main reason for this difference is data time, because we are comparing results from 2019 and 2020. And we can ask why we are comparing data from different periods. That's because Anatel, the telecommunication agency, is changing its methodology and release data per municipalities and per operator for the first time at the beginning of this year. Before that, they have data only for the country as a whole. And of course, it was impossible to compare with our study. For the indicator, SDG indicator 781, the reference data is a household survey conducted by the IBGE. The geographic level of this household survey is state, capital city, and metropolitan region. We compared the proportion of individuals that own mobile phones and access the internet. The results are practically the same, showing that the methodology used here in this study is robust. And then we can suggest the use of this figure as a proxy to this indicator. And we have some advantage as geographic disaggregation, because we can have results per municipality, and we can have more technical detail because the results can be split by technology. Here we can see first a map with the percentage of use of the internet. And here we can see the results split by technology, 2G, 3G, and 4G. And to conclude, I can say that the results are promising and that IBGE gained a lot of experience in handling mobile phone data. And we recommend the use of this methodology because it can be easily applied everywhere, even without much experience and dealing with this kind of data. And thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Maria, for that very encouraging presentation. I noted that you highlighted 3 benefits of using mobile phone big data for information society measurements, namely the timeliness of the data, the availability of more granular data or disaggregated data, and then reducing the burden to respondents. So I think these are 3 promising benefits of mobile phone data that NSOs will be able to learn from. And also I noted that you had walked us through in terms of the different methodology or methods employed when analyzing mobile phone data, and concluding that this is not necessarily a very difficult work to do, and that others who may not be interested in doing the same experience on using mobile phone data could easily do the same. So with that, I would like now to move to the experience of Indonesia, which will be provided to us by Dr. Alfatihah Reno, who is the team leader on the Indonesia's MPD project. Alpha, you have the floor.
Thank you, SP. Hello, everyone. My name is Alpha, and I'm from Statistics Indonesia. Today, we will tell you how Indonesia use mobile data in measuring 2 ICT indicators. Indonesian government has worked with one of the cellular operators, which controls 70% share of the market. Initially, we used this data to see human mobility. However, it progressed that we can use the same data to the fulfillment of other statistical needs. Among them, 2 ICT indicators, proportion of population covered by mobile network based on technology, and proportion of individuals using the internet. These 2 indicators are also SDGs target. In summary, the mobile data we use is a record of cell phone usage consisting the information on time, location, and event type. This information are based on transaction of cell phone usage. This transaction create logs, and we use the logs to get data. For the type of mobile data that we use, there are 3 types. First, charging data, then location-based advertising, and the last, unified policy and charging controller. At the very beginning of the project, we got enough variable from our MNO partners. So we are quite optimistic we can find these 2 indicators. But along the way, something happened. There was a change in regulation that caused us to be unable to obtain the type of technology used. We almost failed to measure indicator 9. However, we did not give up. We tried to contact Ministry of Communication and Informatics to get the data that we need. And as an alternative, we use administrative data from the MCI. If you are also having trouble getting the data, you can use the Open Cell ID data, which has similar data characteristic. Here, we can see the cellular service coverage on Indonesia based on the technology used. We have coverage for 2G, 3G, and 4G. Another important step is to determine the usual environment. BPS used the AMDA algorithm approach to determine the usual environment. The point of this algorithm is on step number 3, the reversible clockwise. We use this to determine the threshold for anchor. We use anchor with an average hour below 7 for the home location, and anchor with an average hour more than or equal to 7 for the location of work or activity place. For indicator 9, the idea is to see the highest type of cellular service technology obtained at each coordinate point recorded in the mobile data. And then we are going to map the point to coverage. However, since this data can no longer be provided by mobile operators, we switch to BTS data owned by MCI. In estimating BTS coverage, we use a few set approach. We also need to pay attention to the altitude of the area because the coverage in the plains is certainly wider than the coverage in areas that are higher and blocked by mountains or hills. This slide, this is the distribution of the number of BTS in Bali. We can see from the map that there are two kinds of area in these maps, urban in gray area and rural in green area. It can be seen that Denpasar, Badung, and Gianyar are areas with full coverage. From this slide, we can see the population in Bali based on the type of cellular service received. This is for 2G, 3G, and 4G. In addition to the 3 areas that previously mentioned, residents along the northern coastline in Bali here are also get full coverage service compared to other area. For indicator 17.8.1, the idea is to analyze phone usage data for each subscriber. Check if there are a record of internet usage. If yes, then the customer is categorized as an internet user. We will use this to compare with all subscribers to get the proportion of internet user. However, if in indicator 9, the data obtained is data from all operators, for indicator 17, we only use data from one cellular operator. Therefore, we first examine the relationship between the market share of cellular operator that we obtain from MCI and the proportion of subscriber of our MNO partner to all operators that we obtain from our conventional survey, our Susenas. Apparently, the correlation is very high. We get 0.97. We found that our MNO partner is representative to estimate the indicator. This is the result for internet usage in Bali. Our results are in line with the internet coverage indicators, where the highest proportion of internet users comes from Denpasar, Badung, and Gianyar. When compared with conventional survey data, the estimated proportion of internet users using mobile data is consistently higher than conventional survey result. This might be an indication that the conventional survey results for these indicators are still underestimated. Although the initial results of our study are quite promising, and we are confident that this can be replicated in other countries, the challenge of using mobile data in measuring ICT indicators are also quite difficult for us. The main obstacle is, of course, about access to data, and we don't have quite support from our regulatory. However, there are several alternative data that can be used as initial research, such as open cell data to replace BTS data. And if you don't have population at the smallest area level, you can use from WorldPop. They provide the grid population. The next obstacle, if you made an improvement to your algorithm, it will be hard to do the backward correction because we are no longer have the access to the previous data. But as the wise men say, if the plan doesn't work, change the plan, but stick with the goal. Okay, that's all. For further question, you can contact us at the following email. Thank you for the opportunity, and we will turn to SP. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, Alpha, for that very interesting presentation, for sharing us the experiences that you have in Indonesia and also the challenges that you faced. I think these challenges can be easily transformed into opportunities, and the use of an alternative data source could be one of the mitigation measures when you are faced with the same challenge when doing this similar project in your country. So thank you very much, Alpha. Now I would like to move to Siim, who is our discussant for this session. Siim will discuss the different points that were presented to us by our three speakers, namely Erki on the methodology that was employed, Maria on the experience of Brazil, and Alpha on the experience from Indonesia. So out of this specifically two country experiences, what can you pick up as the key points or challenges that countries need to pay attention to when implementing a mobile phone project in their country? And what advice can you give to other countries who may want to explore the benefits that mobile phone big data can provide in measuring the information society? Siim, you have the floor.
Thank you, Esperanza. Very good questions and very good presentations. Thank you very much for that. So if you don't mind, Esperanza, I have prepared slides for the overall conclusion and country case conclusion as well. And I think these answer your questions that you set for me. So if you don't mind, then I can share the screen and share those conclusions with you. So first off, yes, thank you very much for the presentations. I find them very interesting, not only because it is very relevant work, but because I see what this can mean for the use of new data sources for SDG measurement. So I will mention a few points that I noted down when preparing for this discussion. So overall, we can see that mobile phone data is a very rich resource. For ICT statistics, it provides the best data source to measure mobile usage and access. What other data source is better to measure mobile usage than mobile usage data itself? So access to this data needs proper planning and stakeholder engagement, yes. But experience from other countries provides the best practice for this. And I understand that ITU is here to help you on the way as well. When you access mobile phone data, you do have to understand, as we saw, that it can have its quirks. There are data gaps and errors like with any data source. So proper data quality assurance of the data is very, very important. And not only of the output quality, which is normally what we think of, but also and especially the quality of the data input, because garbage in, garbage out. This data source is very rich, but it can have its quirks. So SDG indicators for ICT usage are globally very important to have right. And especially when you consider the motto of the SDGs, which is leave no one behind. So when we think about this motto, then we have to also think of the granularity that this data source can provide us. And this granularity in the results is important to show that local impacts, that the data can have, or the gaps in ICT spread. So the methodology for this is described in the ITU handbook for this. So I encourage you to also apply proper methodology so that we can actually achieve this motto. Through better data, we can do better at achieving the SDGs. Now, there are some specific lessons from different countries. From Indonesia, we learned that actually mobile phone data is useful for various domains, and ICT statistics can actually serve as a stepping stone for different use cases. Because Indonesia, BPS-Statistics Indonesia is working on different domains and using the same data source, which is mobile phone data. And we can see from Indonesia that even if you have some SDG indicators in place, then mobile phone data can give you that more specific information on the regional and local level that was not previously possible. And this provides tremendous value, especially for large countries like Indonesia, but I assume for any country in the world, to go more local, to make sure that no one is left behind. And third point, it is possible to have a running contract with mobile network operators, as we can see in Indonesia for mobile phone data. However, we can also see that care must be taken in making the data sharing agreement so that you're getting the right data at the right time. And if not, then other data sources are available from global and crowdsourced databases, as shown by Erki and the case in Indonesia, that provide a suitable alternative option to actually having running mobile phone data, at least for some SDG indicators. From the case of Brazil, we also learned many things, and I'll point out three things especially. Not all mobile operators are willing to share the data for pilot projects. So this means that piloting can happen only with one operator's data before you expand to other operators and to regular production. Second, reliability of the data received from the mobile network operator is unknown, as well as the method for assessing the data quality sometimes. So having the method at hand before you start, or expertise from outside your organization on how to do that, is crucially important. And the third, sometimes existing infrastructure is not enough. So pilot as you can with existing infrastructure, prove the case that this works, and then work across larger regions and extend data periods. That might require investment in big data infrastructure and the skills that go along with it. So this is something that I took away from these presentations. I feel the future is very bright. I feel that there's nothing stopping innovation in statistics when these kind of cases are presented to the world. Thank you, Esperanza. Back to you.
Thank you very much, Siim, for that wrap up of these three presentations. I fully agree with you. These three key issues that relates, of course, to the methodology, ensuring that we are using international agreed methodology or internationally tested methodology when using mobile phone data is crucial. The availability of the necessary infrastructure and skills. And as you said, ITU stand ready to help countries in terms of implementing mobile phone big data projects with the help of our partners and other experts in this area. And of course, the coordination mechanism in the country is very important. And this is where the different stakeholders should sit together and brainstorm on why do they really need to use mobile phone data and how they can mitigate the issue of data access. So I think these three issues that you mentioned are, I would say, the key takeaways from these presentations. So with that, I would like to thank all the speakers and the discussant. I would like to conclude the session and invite everybody to turn on their video so that we can see everybody while I conclude. Thank you. So for the use of mobile phone data for information society measurement, as we mentioned, there are three key issues that needs to be addressed when looking at the country level implementation of this kind of use case or project, which is related to the data access, to the capacity or to the skills of people who will be using big data or analyzing big data, as well as ensuring that there's the necessary infrastructure that is in place when using the mobile phone data. And the role of the different key stakeholders in the country is very important. Preparing a roadmap in terms of how you can move from the project inception until the project result dissemination is important. So a roadmap that will outline who are the key stakeholders and the different steps that needs to be done when implementing a mobile phone project when calculating the information society indicators. So I really would like to encourage the national statistical offices and the different agencies who are watching this session to come together and discuss how they can benefit from the use of mobile phone data for information society measurement. And the experts around the table presenting to you during this session is ready to share further our experiences and our help when you are ready to implement this project. And so with this, I would like to thank Erki, Siim, Maria, Alpha, TT, and the ISI coordinators or session organizers, our colleague from BPS Indonesia. And we are ready to answer any question you may have after this session. Please feel free to send those questions to us by email through the link or through the email that will be provided to you. And we will get back to you as soon as we can. So with this, thank you very much and have a good day.